Hello everyone, welcome to Sweetcast. This is Clint as always, and I wanted to make, I guess this is kind of a follow-up video to one I made, I don't know, a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, about bad reviews for comics. Now, reviews are a really important part of just the creative process. Being able to hear back from your customers or critics, it's important. It helps other customers know if they're going to like it. That's how word of mouth happens. And it's sort of a two-edged sword. On one hand, you're going to have people that like your book, and they're going to tell their friends if they really like it, and that's exactly what you want. The problem is, for that to mean anything, you have to have the other edge of the sword, which is there's naturally going to be people that don't like it. Now, I'm starting to get used to this more and more with my YouTube channel because it doesn't matter what video I make. There's always somebody that doesn't care for it. Usually, I think it's very rare that I have a video that everyone just unanimously loves, and that's okay, because that's what helps you to refine things and to get better. So I was looking on Twitter, and Peter Simeti from Alterna Comics, I really admire him and respect just the way that he talks to people on Twitter. It's impressive. But he said, here's an easy guide for comics creators on how to respond and handle praise and criticism, should you feel the need to do so, right? You don't have to respond, and that's the point here. And it's funny because for some reason in comics, there's always this need to respond, and I think it's okay to respond if you can respond in a gracious way. So reader says, I loved your comic. The creator says, thanks for reading. Or option 2, the reader says, I hated your comic. The creator says, thanks for reading. Then go make some more comics. Right? This is exactly the point. So I'm picking on Peter here because I actually saw 2 reviews of the same comic, and they happened to be an Alterna book, and they had very different perspectives. So I wanted to play just a little bit of each. So first one here, we're actually looking at Blood Realm number 3. I have not yet read Blood Realm, so I don't want to spoil anything. I might be interested in reading it myself a little bit later. And by no means am I, picking on these reviewers. This first one is Elizabar. It looks like they've 700 subscribers. If you're interested, you like the review, check it out. I'm just going to show just a little bit.
We're going to talk briefly about what I like, and it's going to be stuff I've liked before. Look at the art. Look at the art. I don't like the art. I love the art. I hate the art. I love the art. Like, it's exactly what it should be. It carries the mood perfectly. Now, I was just talking about the art in... I hadn't bagged it yet. In Cyberforce.
Okay, I'm only going to show you that much. If you want to check it out, you can look this review up. So this is what I would say is a glowing review. Blood Realm appears to have some very unique stylistic choices, especially for comics, not only in the artwork, but apparently with the writing as well, because it's very like caption heavy as opposed to dialogue heavy. So as an artist, you take a specific route, and sometimes you're taking more of a risk if you veer off sort of the regular path that everybody's taking. And I think that that's good. You should be able to take a risk and try something that's a little outside of the norm, because that, you never know, you could start something fantastic. Could be something that people really appreciate. And based off this review, this particular reviewer really appreciated it. Okay, so same exact book. We're looking at a different page. This is a different reviewer, Roarshafts of Swindon. I don't know why everybody has these difficult names to say. There you go. 1.3 thousand subscribers doing a comic review. Same comic, same issue. Let's check it out.
We're 13-year-old. So the art throughout is very amateurish, very 13-year-old boy from 1986. And the story is massively incompetent as well. I'll show you the beginning of the book and give you a quick example of the level of incompetence you can expect with it.
Okay, so one reviewer essentially said, I'm summarizing, throughout the review he said that it was genius, it was perfect. He used words like that. The second reviewer said this was incompetent. He compared the art to that of a 13-year-old from 1986. I haven't read this. I'm not going to say who's right or wrong, because the truth is, this is art. it's impossible to be 100% correct with your perception. Now, you are correct with your taste, right? The one guy loved it. I believe when he says that he loved it, that he loved it. Why would you fake it? On the other hand, this other reviewer says that it was awful and he hated it. Now, I'm going to believe that he hated it for sure. So what's the truth? Well, I don't know. You'd have to read it and find out. But if people point out things that you might relate to or that might bother you in a review, that could be helpful for sure. But even in this review, I want to see it. Yeah, Alterna Comics actually commented right at the top, and they said, "Thanks for reading." Right off the bat, practice what you preach. Thanks for reading. We got a ton of other books that we hope you'll enjoy. If not, that we do appreciate that you gave them a shot and hope there's some other comics out there that to your liking. Thanks again. Okay, this is a really, really mature response. Again, if you need to respond at all, you don't have to respond. If you're going to respond, this is a stand-up way to do it because, it's possible that a reviewer or a reader is going to possibly be interested in checking out some other titles, and the experience of reading the comic isn't tainted by the creator or the publisher. This is the problem that Marvel and DC have. Now, I'm not going to say who's right or wrong when it comes to reviews, because you get information back from people, and for sure, your customers are going to be right in the fact that they're going to identify things. When you're storytelling, there's a big part of that especially for writing, you're trying to play with your reader's emotions. That's sort of the art form. You're going to say certain words, make them read them in a certain way, and hopefully control the pacing at which they read. And this is going to influence their emotions and how they are going to react to the story. So if you can get them to suspend disbelief and to go along with your story, they're going to enjoy it much, much more. If there's things that you're doing in your writing or storytelling that prevents them from suspending disbelief, then they're probably not going to enjoy your book. Now, there's no one book that's just going to hypnotize anybody that reads that book, and they're just going to have such a great experience. I'm actually looking here on Amazon. These are reviews from Catch-22, which is considered one of the greatest books ever written by many people. Having said that, there's still a lot of people that don't like it. I'm just going to look at some one-star reviews here. First one says, "Couldn't even finish it. I don't mind books that are a little strange, but this one was way over the top. Not sure how this is considered a classic." Okay, is this reviewer wrong? No. I mean, nobody is going to 100% love one book. Like, not everyone in the world is going to decide and agree that they love the same book. Okay, next one here. "Awful, repetitive, no character development, don't waste your time." Now, those descriptors, if I were to apply that to any book, you would say, wow, that's not very good. The thing here is, though, that the vast majority of people that have read this book would disagree with this, but not this reader, and apparently not several other readers. This one says, "I was not required to read this book in high school, thank goodness. Tried to read it 45 years later, but could not bring myself to open the book up again after getting about 30% of the way through it. It got a little trite repeating the same theme over and over and over again. And at the 1/3 point in the book, character development hadn't taken hold yet." Okay, so that's two people that have said that there's a problem with character development. A lot of people said it's overrated, it's boring, it's monotonous, confusing. All these words, if you didn't know the title of the book, you could probably apply it to, many books out there. So I point this out because I had mentioned before in another video that I was a little worried that Comicsgate books, that there would be this sort of unspoken rule that you needed to say only good things about Comicsgate books because there's just this sort of underlying pressure. At least if you're trying to be a YouTube creator and you're trying to have relationships with comic book creators and so on. Now, I've been happily proved wrong this week. The more that I look at other channels that have been reviewing Comicsgate books, in particular, Trump's Space Force, it was delivered to many people this week. I watched the Comic Book Hut's review on it, and he was critical of some things. It seemed like he overall liked the book, but I was actually really, really, really happy that he was totally honest about it. And so I'm starting to feel like actually there are reviewers out there who are going to give you their honest opinion. Does that mean they're right? No. I mean, no one has. It's an opinion. I mean, I shouldn't have to say this over and over, but it's an opinion. But getting an honest opinion from somebody is worth a lot. Okay, so I did look at how to handle bad book reviews. This is just a list I found, and I thought this was interesting. It had a few do's and a few do nots. The number one is, remember, this is not a personal affront. The reviewer didn't like your book. Do you like everything that you read? Right, of course. There are going to be books that you don't like personally. Take a deep breath, cool off, put away the review in a dark place for a few days. Okay, exactly. You gotta take in your emotions. This is something I would even say if you're working in a book group or something like that, you're getting constructive feedback from people. It's best to just take it. So I sort of picture it as, standing, you're exposed, you're standing in front of a room of people and they're just throwing, like, we'll just say eggs at you or something, and it's getting you all dirty. You feel awful. Rather than get so upset and start cleaning it off, just stand there or go walk away. Let it sink in a little bit. Think about it, and then you can decide what is true or what has some truth from your perspective. What do you need to change, and how much of it is inconsequential and it's just somebody's opinion. Again, they're not always going to be right, but they are going to give you some information that can be really helpful. Okay, the next one here is look at who the reviewer is. If they're known for giving glowing reviews or is negative their forte, yeah, this can be helpful. If somebody's going to hate everything you write because of other reasons, or they're going to love everything you write because of other reasons, that's something to keep in mind. A lot of comic book reviewers for mainstream comics are just always going to give glowing reviews, and so yeah, it's hard to really learn from that. Look at a review objectively. Yeah, again, this is why you have to get your emotions out of it. Step aside. If you can't respond, then that's okay. If you can't do it objectively, just keep it to yourself. Be gracious and poised. Yeah, that's so important. Okay, here's one. Do not, under any circumstance, send a rebuttal. Just let it go. Yeah, I think this is important. You don't want to try and justify your work. Your work should stand for itself. So if somebody doesn't like it, no matter what you say to them, that's not going to change their experience while they were reading that book. If there's additional information that they're missing that wasn't in the book, then there's a problem with the book, right? They should have it in the book. Okay, do not slander or in any way badmouth the reviewer on your social media accounts. Okay, this is the problem with mainstream comic book creators, comic pros. There is certainly this air of arrogance, and if there's a bad review, somebody doesn't like the book, often, I mean, I can't even count how many times I've seen somebody bad-mouthing a fan, getting upset over it because they made a review or they just said that they didn't like the book. This might be a problem in other industries, other entertainment industries. I have not seen that. This doesn't seem to be as widespread as it is in comics for some reason. This needs to change. But I have been known to be wrong before. I just pick a topic and take an angle at it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on reviews. Curious if any of you have read Blood Realm number 3, where your thoughts are on the comic. How do you think we can better keep our emotions in check when we're getting negative feedback? And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.